Hey everybody, Nathan Ronen, CFA here with another update. It's been a couple of weeks. I decided to give myself a little break from doing these updates, but in the interim, I've had a lot of opportunity to see a bunch of questions come in and try to figure out what I want to do my next update on. This particular update is designed for CFA Level 3 candidates who either just took the August 2025 exam or any CFA Level 3 candidate is taking it in 2026, whether it be February or August, or maybe even contemplating taking it in 2027. And that question is, Nathan, could you please shed some light on the grading process? How do they determine the pass rate? What's that magic number? How do they determine that, 1,600 or 2,600, or how do they come up with that? Could you shed some light on whether they give partial credit, or how do they decide to give partial credit, or will they be giving partial credit for the constructed response questions? If this is of interest to you, continue listening. And also please press the subscribe button now and the notifications bell so that you can continue to receive these updates as I post them on a bi-weekly basis. And I think it will help you out. All right, well, I can't say that a year has ever passed where candidates didn't ask me this question. I have my own mock exams. I grade my mock exams. I'm very familiar with how to grade mock exams, what is in the graders' minds and everything like that when they're grading. Okay, but you have to remember one thing, and this is really important. It's a subjective process. Item sets, no-brainer. It's either right or wrong, A, B, or C. Okay, it's very objective. Nobody's really, validating your answers. Okay, or trying to take points off. It's computerized. When it comes to the constructed responses, as you know, you had 11 of them, or you will have 11 of them. 6 in the morning, 5 in the second session, or 5 in the first session and 6 in the second session. Doesn't matter. But what really concerns candidates is, number one, is there going to be partial credit? The answer is there is no guarantee that partial credit will be given on any essay or any essay part. Could there be partial credit given? Absolutely. Do they sometimes give partial credit? Absolutely. Do they sometimes not provide any partial credit? Absolutely. What does it depend on? Well, here's my take on it. When a grading process is created, okay, it has to be fair. CFA Institute is extremely fair in the grading process of the constructed response questions. The graders are not trained, developed, or told to be extra lean or extra difficult. And what they try to do is they try to make every effort to actually pass you, not fail you. Now, obviously, for a candidate who's taking the exam for the third time or the second time or even the fourth or fifth time, you may doubt that. I can guarantee you 100% that there is nobody sitting there trying to say, let's fail this person. First of all, they don't know who you are. It's a blind process, and you're only a candidate number, okay, when they are grading papers. Okay, so you're just a candidate number, as you should be, okay? And that doesn't take too much to figure that out. Okay, but partial credit or no partial credit, a lot of times it's going to depend on the responses that they're getting from the candidates. Let me give you an example. If the answer is, a Greinhold-Kroner model question, and you have to calculate the return, and it's 13.2%, and that's the correct answer, if the majority of the candidates are getting it right, and they're getting it exactly right, 13.2%, the graders are probably, and I can't guarantee this, you are probably going to determine it's all or nothing. 13.2 or something around 13.2, give it full credit. If it's not, deduct full credit. Okay? Because again, a calculation is not going to be 12 points or 10 points. It'll probably be like 4 points or whatever. But it'll probably be all or nothing. What happens if the Greinhold-Kroner model question, the expected return is 13.2%? And everybody's getting it wrong. And they're getting it wrong because the graders realized that the same wrong answer is continuously coming up because of a misinterpretation of something that was written in the exam. The graders will work around it and they'll say, oh, okay, well, we see some people are actually getting 13.2%, but that wrong answer of 11.6% that is continuously coming across our table is because people thought it was a real growth rate and not the nominal growth rate, whatever it may be. So it's really not clear. We agree it's not clear. We will take off only 1 point if they got 11.6. And if they got 13.2, we'll give it full credit. Anything other than 11.6 or 13.2, just mark it off wrong. Okay? So there is a possibility for partial credit depending on the graders, and that's the problem. It's the graders and the captain that will actually decide how much to allocate or not allocate to a particular question and whether to give partial credit or not. It's not predetermined because that's what grading is all about. That's how even when I develop my mock exams, I look at it and I say, okay, what am I going to do here? And I review papers, hundreds of papers, and I got to say, well, you know what? I see how they misinterpreted this. I'm going to give partial credit if they misinterpreted it because a lot of people did, and I don't want people to feel bad. Oh, everybody's been getting this right, and this yokel didn't get it right because he didn't study. Well, then he gets a 0. Or she, whatever. That's kind of the way it is. Now, same thing even if it's a written constructed response, not a calculation. Like to somehow explain whether it should be a laddered portfolio or a barbell strategy or a bullet, okay? If the question is very clear and everybody's getting it right, all or nothing. If a lot of people are getting it wrong and they're getting the same wrong answer, and in their explanation, they're explaining why they came up with the barbell instead of the bullet, and there was something in the table that was not very clear, or in the discussion that was not very clear, or could have been interpreted either way, then they will give partial credit as well. How many points or whatever, they will determine as a committee, okay? I mean, you don't need to be like super intelligent to sort of like figure this out. But yes, there is partial credit given. I wouldn't venture to guess that these days that partial credit is given on every essay or every constructed response. But as I just said, if a large number of people are getting the question, whether it's a calculation or an explanation, wrong, and the same wrong answer and the same way and the same interpretation, they will work around it and give partial credit. Okay, they're not looking to fail everybody, and I think that makes sense and it's fair. The other question that people want to know is, how do they come up with the raw score or the thing? I'm going to be honest with you, that's their black box. That's their black box. You have no control over it. I don't have any control over it. The head of the CFA Institute doesn't have any control over it. That is determined by the graders, how many points to give, and then the Board of Governors determines the minimum passing score. That committee of 12, and that's no secret. You can look it up and everything else. But how do they determine it for each exam? What's the raw score that they're looking for? That is the black box. Now, even if I knew it, I wouldn't be able to disclose it to you. That's their secret, okay? And it is unfair of you to ask for insight into it or to demand insight into it because they're not going to give it to you. What you need to do is what the old saying is, don't try to control what you can't control. And that's the message of this video. It's nice to know this information. Does it matter if you know that they're giving partial credit or not partial credit on a particular question? Absolutely not. Does it matter if they, come up with 1,600 as the raw score or 1,800? No, it doesn't. You have no control over it. Why do you want to obsess, discuss, contemplate, focus on something that you can't influence, you can't have any impact on, okay? I really don't recommend you doing it. I recommend you taking the exam as you did or as you will do in February or August of 2026 or 2027 and just accept your score, and because it's all based on how you did relative to the other people taking the exam on that date. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can have done or felt really well about taking the exam and still fail because you just didn't do as well as the other people. Okay? and who you're competing against. On the other hand, you could have felt, oh, that was such a difficult exam and I did lousy, and you actually passed the exam. Why? Because you did a lot better than all those other people that thought they did bad, but you did a lot better than them. So everything, again, in a nutshell, is how you did relative to the competition. That is the important point to take away from this. How many people are on the committee? Who are the main committee members? What's the raw score? What's the top score? What's the bottom score? Did they give partial credit on this calculation or that calculation or this question? Doesn't really matter. Because you can't influence and you can't argue it, and you're not going to see your paper and your results anyway. So what I'm saying to you is, it's great to try to understand the process. I understand that. I'd probably be curious myself as well. But in the end, it really doesn't matter. So I know this isn't what you really want to hear, but I'm trying to give you some insight. And I can't give away information that I don't know. Okay, so I'm not there. I'm not, with the Board of Governors determining the pass rate these days, and I'm not, there to decide whether partial credit or non-partial credit would be given. But I will tell you that the process, and this is the confidence job, whatever process they're using, it's going to be the fairest process to enable people to pass without giving away a charter. And that's what you got. So if you failed, this is what I tell candidates, if you failed with flying colors. I wouldn't read the 1650 that you failed and that 1700 was the minimum passing score as an indication that you were itty-bitty close. You were not itty-bitty close to passing. You failed with flying colors. And if you passed with flying colors. It wasn't like, if you go, with 50 points less, you would have suddenly been a total fail. No. Trust me, there's a big gap between pass and fail. Okay? That is my intake on this, and I hope this helps you out. But again, my best advice to you is take the rest of the time off after your exam. Just relax. Think about something else. Think about another designation you want to pursue. I'm just kidding. Just, think about something else you want to do, and enjoy your summer, enjoy your winter, enjoy your fall, whatever it is. And don't worry about something that you can't control. That's my message to you. And if you have any other questions, you can always reach out to me on my website at chalkandboard.org. That's CHALK and AND, board, BOARD, chalkandboard.org. And if you're interested in very good essay mock exams to get better practice with grading and feedback, check the ones out that I have on my website. Have a great day and good luck to you, and I hope that whatever result you get, it's only a pass. Bye-bye.